All right, welcome everyone. Diving in today, we've got, I think, a pretty fascinating piece to unpack, a lithograph called Postcards.
Oh, yeah.
And just, picturing it, it's these scattered cards,
Mhm.
incredibly detailed line work, almost like dreamlike scenes,
Yeah,
and then set against this backdrop that is just chaos.
right.
So we're going to try to decode this.
Okay.
We've got two sources to help us out here.
Okay.
An excerpt from Zen and the Art of Enlightenment, Volume 1,
Yeah.
and a YouTube video called Postcards, Fragments of Impermanence.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to be bouncing between, Zen philosophy, I
Yeah.
Ching, maybe even touch on a little art history as we go.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, where should we even begin with this? It's
Well, I think what strikes me right away is just how raw and unfinished it feels.
yeah.
Like you've got these overlapping cards, almost like little windows into these like different realities,
Mhm.
and that textured background.
Yeah.
It's like you're peering into the artist's sketchbook,
Mm.
almost like, catching these fleeting ideas before they fully form.
Yeah. And the book actually, it jumps right into that idea of impermanence,
Yeah.
which is obviously like a core concept in Zen.
Right.
It suggests that these scattered cards, they represent this kind of like the flow of thoughts, memories
Hmm.
that we're all experiencing.
Yeah, and Zen, I think that what's interesting about Zen is it's not just about acknowledging that everything changes.
Right.
It's about learning to detach, right? Learning to detach from those thoughts, finding a sense of peace amidst all that flux.
Mm.
And the book even mentions like the empty spaces between the cards, which is in Zen philosophy,
Yeah.
represents mu, this
Mhm.
concept of emptiness, where all our like preconceived notions kind of dissolve.
Wow.
That's a pretty powerful idea that like by letting go of these attachments, we can actually access,
Yeah.
a deeper level of awareness, clarity.
Yeah, I can see how that like ties into the artwork, It's almost like visually representing that letting go, finding stillness
Right.
within chaos.
Yeah.
Now, the YouTube video takes it a step further
Okay.
and links postcards to hexagram 64 from the I Ching, Weiji,
Uh-huh.
which means before completion.
Okay.
So I'm curious to get your take on that connection.
Well, I think it's a brilliant parallel, like that unfinished quality of the artwork, the way those lines and forms are like in motion, it really resonates with that essence of Wei Ji.
Mm.
The hexagram talks about this state of potential, things not yet fully formed.
Right.
And there's even a line in the I Ching that says,
Oh, okay.
walking on frost, soon there will be solid ice.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of anticipation, right? Change is coming, it's inevitable,
Yeah.
but you don't know exactly what form it's going to take.
So each of these cards is kind of like representing a different possibility, potential outcome still unfolding.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a constant reminder that we're in these before completion moments.
Hmm.
And speaking of things we don't know, I can't help but notice like the contrast between those very detailed cards and
Yeah.
then this chaotic energy in the background.
Yeah.
It seems very intentional.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where, I think Taoist thought comes in.
Okay.
Everything in Taoism exists in this like interplay between these opposing forces, yin and yang, light and dark, order and chaos.
Yeah, so the cards would be...
Yeah, you could say the cards are what Taoists call the 10,000 things.
Okay.
The countless kind of like manifestations of existence, right?
Right.
Constantly changing, interacting.
But they're incomplete.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever truly finished.
Right.
Reality is always kind of like in this state of flux.
So it's that Taoist principle,
Yeah.
Embrace the change.
Embrace the flow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how the artwork really like visually represents that.
It's a beautiful paradox.
Mm-hmm.
It shows us all these forms, but then reminds us that they're impermanent, always evolving.
Yeah.
It's like a visual representation of the Tao itself, the underlying source of all creation.
Wow, so we're going pretty deep here.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's all very intentional. It's not just a random assortment of images.
No, not
This is very deliberately exploring these profound philosophical ideas.
Yeah, and I think even more important than just the ideas themselves, it's an invitation for us to like find our place within all of that, to recognize that we're a part of that ever-changing flow, that our identities aren't fixed.
Right.
They're a collection of, experiences, memories, aspirations, constantly being shaped.
Yeah, it makes me think about those cars, almost like representing parts of ourselves,
Uh,
these fragments of experience that kind of make up who we are. And I guess the question is like, which ones are the postcards that truly define us?
yeah, it's a good question.
You know, which ones bring clarity and which ones might be like obscuring our path?
It's fascinating, right? And I think the artwork kind of lends that open for us.
Yeah.
It's not about like finding definitive answers.
Yeah.
It's more about recognizing that complexity,
Right.
the fluidity of our own identities.
Yeah.
It's almost like the artist is saying, look, here are the raw materials, the fragments,
Yeah.
go create your own narrative.
And maybe that's the power of art, right? It's not about giving us the answer. It's
Yeah.
about sparking these questions.
Yeah, leading us to those reflections.
Yeah, exactly. Making us think about who we are, how we relate to the world.
It's creating that space for contemplation.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's so much more to unpack.
Lots to dig into.
But before we go too far, I think we need to look a little closer at the actual techniques the artists used.
Go.
The book mentions surrealism, modernism.
Right.
I feel like that's got to play a pretty big role in how we interpret all this.
Oh yeah, I think the way the artist uses line, texture, collage, it's not just aesthetic.
Right.
It's adding like another layer of meaning.
Right.
Yeah. Reflecting those themes, fragmentation, impermanence, that interplay between order and chaos.
All right, so let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and delve into that artistic side of things next.
This is good to me.
We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. I'm excited to unpack that a bit more.
All right, so we'll pick that up in the next segment of our deep dive.
Looking forward to it. So yeah, picking up on that thread of the techniques.
Okay.
The book mentions surrealism.
Right.
And I mean, I can definitely see that dreamlike quality in Postcards.
Uh-huh.
It's like we're being invited to explore the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams, symbolism, all of that.
Yeah, and just those fragmented images, like pieces of a puzzle
Right.
scattered across the canvas. It does feel very surreal.
Very much so.
Like, I don't know, those Dali paintings where everything's distorted, kind of creepy.
Exactly. It's about disrupting our normal way of seeing things, right?
Yeah.
Shaking things up, opening up to new possibilities.
And the book actually makes a specific comparison to Max Ernst,
Oh, interesting.
who, I mean, if you're not familiar, he did these amazing collages, like using images from old catalogs, engravings.
Right, right.
I remember seeing some of his work. It's definitely unforgettable.
Oh, yeah. And just like Ernst, the artist here is using these fragments, these textures, to create this visual tapestry that's like both familiar and strange at the same time.
Yeah.
Making us piece together our own meaning.
That's so true.
The book even mentions how Ernst created these like otherworldly landscapes by layering images, juxtaposing them.
Right.
And you see that same layering in Postcards.
Yeah, it's like mirroring the layering of thoughts and memories and experiences
Exactly.
that make up our own kind of inner landscapes.
Yeah, very much so.
Now, the book also mentions early 20th century modernism,
Okay.
which I guess if we're thinking about those movements, a
Right.
lot of it was about exploring the inner workings of the mind, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think
Yeah.
about like Picasso,
Yeah.
breaking down forms, perspectives, trying to capture the essence of things in new ways.
So we're seeing surrealism, modernism, and then you layer in Zen and Taoism.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but somehow it all works.
It does, doesn't it? It's like this fusion, this refusal to be put in a box.
Yeah, and the YouTube video really picks up on that fragmented identity idea. It even asks the viewer, like, which postcards in your life bring clarity
Right.
and which ones are maybe obscuring your true path.
Ooh, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
Makes you think about the stories we tell ourselves,
Uh-huh.
the memories we hold on to, and if they're actually serving us or not.
Yeah, it's like those cards, some are beautiful, some are faded,
Right.
maybe even torn, holding images that just don't resonate anymore.
It's like holding onto a postcard from a terrible vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you don't want to admit it wasn't what you expected.
That's a good analogy.
But the artwork, I think, it suggests that growth comes from letting go. Letting go of those outdated images of ourselves.
Embracing the evolution.
Exactly.
And maybe that act of choosing, of letting go, that's creative expression too.
I love that idea. We're all artists of our own lives, right?
Yeah.
Shaping and reshaping our narratives.
And the artwork, with its simplicity, its rawness, it really speaks to that.
Yeah. And the YouTube video talks about that too.
Uh-huh.
Finding power in imperfection, seeing the beauty in those raw, unfinished states.
Yeah. I mean, the artwork itself is like a testament to that, right?
Absolutely. It's rough, it's unfinished.
It's embracing the incomplete.
And I think it's a beautiful reminder that perfection is an illusion. True beauty is in the authenticity, the vulnerability.
Letting yourself be seen.
Exactly, even in your unfinished state.
It's a good reminder for me. I get caught up in that,
Oh, we all do.
striving for the perfect outcome, you know?
It's a trap, but the artwork is like a little nudge, like, hey,
Yeah.
embrace the mess.
The uncertainty.
The becoming, yeah.
And that makes me think about those empty spaces again.
Oh, yeah. Moo.
Yeah.
Moo. Maybe they're not just about letting go, but also, like, making space for something new.
Oh, exactly.
For those unexpected twists and turns.
Yeah, they're not voids. They're like fertile ground
Exactly.
for creativity transformation.
Okay, so we've gone from Zen to the I Ching. We've talked about surrealism, modernism, even touched on like psychology and the creative process.
It's a lot.
It really is. It's like Postcards is more than just a piece of art at this point.
It's a portal.
Yeah, to this whole universe of ideas and interpretations.
It's a catalyst for self-discovery. And that's what I love about these deep dives, you know?
Yeah.
We're not just looking at art.
Right.
We're using it as a lens to explore bigger questions.
Exactly, about life, meaning the human experience.
And I think that's what makes this piece so interesting. It's not giving us answers.
Right.
It's inviting us to ask better questions.
It's giving us a flashlight and saying, go explore.
See what you find.
Yeah, exactly. The journey is yours to create.
So, for our listener, what would you say is like the biggest takeaway here?
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, what's the one thing you want them to walk away with?
I think the core message of Postcards is about finding harmony within the chaos. It's about realizing that impermanence, incompleteness, uncertainty, these aren't things to be afraid of.
Right.
They're essential parts of life.
It's that letting go of control.
Yeah, that need for all the answers.
And just embracing the
The
unknown.
journey of becoming.
And realizing we're all just a collection of these postcards, these fragments and stories.
Yeah, but we have the power to choose which ones we hold on to.
So it's acceptance and agency at the same time.
Exactly. It's that balance
Yeah.
between surrendering to the flow and creating the reality you want.
And maybe that is the most profound message of all, right?
Maybe so.
Life is messy, unpredictable,
It is.
and the magic is in embracing it all.
Imperfections and all.
And I think that actually ties back into the I Ching
Oh, interesting.
Wei Ji, you know?
Okay, yeah.
That sense of trusting the process even amidst the chaos.
Yeah, like the artwork itself, not trying to be perfect.
Right.
Embracing the fragments, the rough edges.
It makes it so much more powerful.
Yeah, it reminds us that we don't have to have it all figured out.
It's okay to embrace the mess.
The unknowns.
And trust that beauty can emerge from even the most chaotic circumstances.
Beautiful.
All right, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into postcards, I think that's a perfect place to pause for a moment. It feels like we've gone like on this incredible journey with postcards.
Yeah, it's amazing how much one piece of art can spark, you know?
It really is. And for our listener who's maybe seeing postcards for the first time or even coming back to it after listening to us, what's the question we want to leave them with? What should they be thinking about?
I think the big question is, how can you take these ideas of impermanence, of accepting the incompleteness, and apply it to your own life?
Yeah, because it's easy to get so caught up in wanting that perfect outcome,
Right.
Whether it's, at work, in relationships, even just with ourselves.
Absolutely, that striving for perfection, it can get in the way
Yeah.
of really experiencing the beauty of the process.
And postcards, I mean, it's right there in how it looks, unfinished. It's like it's saying, hey, it's okay to not have all the answers.
Right.
It's okay to be a work in progress.
And that's where the beauty lies.
The beauty of potential.
Yeah, that Ouija we were talking about.
Yeah, it's not about staying the same.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we're always changing, always becoming.
Always evolving, yeah.
And maybe that's the most important thing to take away from this.
I think so.
We don't have to have it all figured out.
Right.
It's okay to embrace the mess.
The uncertainty.
Yeah, those parts of ourselves, of our lives, that are still incomplete.
Because within that, there's so much potential.
Yeah, potential for growth, creativity.
True authenticity.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into postcards,
Okay.
I hope you'll go back and look at those sources again.
Yeah. take another look.
Think about those ideas from Zen, from the I Ching, how artists express themselves.
See what speaks to you.
See what sparks your own curiosity.
Because just like those postcards in the artwork,
Yeah.
we each have our own unique collection.
Our own experiences, insights.
And by embracing the impermanence, the incompleteness,
Yeah.
we open ourselves up to so much more.
To a world of possibilities.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.